Hi family, I'm back yet again, and today we are going to talk about another dream. Now guys, this dream is one like no other. It's a very special dream, very detailed, very full of information. And you know me, I always share because I want you to learn something. I want to add value in your life. I want you to be able to walk away from this, with an understanding of what is the thought process of how God speaks to us. How do dreams work? What is the imagery? What is the feeling? How do you tie it all together? And how do you, extract as much information as possible? Now, before we can get into it, there's a few basics that I need you to understand. First and foremost, dreams do not work in isolation. I'll give you an example. A lot of scripture does not work in isolation, right? One scripture emphasizes the other or clarifies the meaning of another, meaning that in order for you to fully understand and fully get the revelation from that one scripture, you'd need to refer yet to another scripture. Maybe it's to the whole passage. The point is, dreams don't always work in isolation. What I mean is, you could have had a few dreams that were not quite the same, but they work hand in hand. The one explains the other or brings emphasis to the other dream. So then once you've had quite a few of them, then there will be one dream that consolidates all the other dreams. So dreams don't always work in isolation. Number two, understand that there's the interpretation and then there's the timing. We're talking about past tense, future tense, present tense. Now, the reason why I am sharing this information with you is not to help you to interpret your dreams. I can't do that, because to interpret dreams, you need full information, you need revelation from God. And I cannot just, interpret your dreams for you, but I can help you to understand how to visualize, understand, and draw as much information from them as possible. Right? So there is interpretation, and then there is timing. By that, we're talking about your past tense, your present tense, and your future tense. It's important to understand that it's not the interpretation of the dream that tells you the tense. It's not the interpretation of the dream that determines whether the dream is past tense or present or future, but it's the timing that defines the interpretation. You'll understand when I, further explain on my own dream. Now, that brings me to the most important part. What is the importance or the significance of dreams? Understand this. Dreams are the manner in which, or one of the manners in which, God communicates to us as his children. He may be communicating a warning, trying to give you a heads up about something that is coming, sort of to prepare you for it. Or it could be God, just giving you, a preview or a hint of what was supposed to happen but is not going to happen. He lets you know, certain outcomes of certain decisions. One very important thing that a lot of people don't know is that God also gives closure through dreams. He gives insight, he gives information. For example, where you went through a situation and you did not understand why did it happen, who did it, who was working against you, where you've been betrayed, God sheds light and he brings insight for situations or circumstances that you did not have peace about. So God gives you that peace through your dreams. He gives you closure through your dreams. He gives you comfort through your dreams, and that is him sort of giving you a hug, comforting you, letting you know this is this way, this is okay, you can let this go, this is why this relationship didn't work, this is why this friendship didn't work. So it's a lot that you can get from dreams. Without delay, let's immediately get into the dream. Okay, so in my dream, it starts off with me in a radio station. I am interviewing 3 individuals, right? Now, in my dream, as I'm seated there interviewing these 3 individuals, these 3 individuals are police women. They are all dressed in police uniform, but they are different in ranking. The first lady, she was just in training, so she had not yet started operating or working or functioning as a policewoman, but she was still in training, so she was in school. This other lady in the middle, she had just started working, so she was no longer a student, but she's also not experienced, so we can just say an amateur. So she's just the intermediary in the middle. She had just started working. Then the third lady, so she had been in the police force for a long time. She had ample experience. She had served her time, and she was in a good position, a really good position, a high position, a high rank, because of her experience and her years. Now, as I was interviewing these ladies, I could feel that I was feeling like I was not really, well knowledgeable about interviewing them or working in the studio, because I was struggling with tuning the speaker that we were needing to hear, just to make sure that everything was sounding right. So I was carrying all of this out without knowing how it actually sounds to the listeners or to the viewers or to the people on the other end. Now, as I had started my interview, I had started this way going through. So I started with the least experienced, or the trainee, going all the way up to highest rank. Right. Now, as I was starting off with my interview, a close relative of mine, walked into the radio station and started talking. They did not care that we were live. They were just talking, and they were questioning me. Why are you even interviewing these people? They're not even doing their work. And I was getting annoyed and irritated, because I am live, and here you are just talking just as you want, as you please. You are totally not paying attention to what I'm trying to do or to achieve here. But that person did not talk for long. After saying that, they kept quiet and they disappeared. Right, so I was able to continue with my interview, and even though they were talking, as annoyed as I was, I did continue with doing that which I needed to do. Now, come the end of the interview, right, I'm getting ready to go, and then the most experienced one, the one with the highest rank, the police lady, takes out a fat stash of money. Guys, I'm talking about hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, like a stash. And I'm thinking, okay, is this money, like, who's this money for? Because there's no producer, there's no one here that I need to give this money to. And I'm thinking to myself, is this money mine? Next thing, she hands me the stash of money. Okay, I take the money and I put it in my pocket, right? And then here I am walking out of the station and immediately walk into a mall. Guys, here I am strolling through a mall, and I'm thinking to myself, how about I use this money to buy myself like a dress or an outfit or something to wear? So I can literally hear myself thinking out loud, oh, I think I should just buy myself a skirt or an outfit. And I'm so peaceful about it. And as I'm walking through the store, guys, through the malls, and then I look on my left, and there's a store I'm walking past, and I see an empty hanger. There's like other hangers with other clothes on, but there's an empty hanger. Now pay attention to this. The hanger itself does not have any labeling, but for me, looking at that hanger, I immediately heard and knew, and it was deposited in my spirit, that this hanger is for my label, Preacher's Kid. Now, this hanger, as it is, was empty because the stock, or whatever it is that was being sold of my brand of Preacher's Kid, had run out of stock. It had run out. So, it had run out because it had been sold out. But I was not concerned about it. I was just walking past, and this was a thought that I was having. Now, then, that was the end of my dream, and I woke up. Okay, so now, let's get into the interpretation and the timing of the dream. This is the juicy part. Now, I'm going to show you a few tricks on how to interpret and understand, the timing and all of that. Okay, check this out. So in the beginning of the dream, what am I doing? I'm in a radio interview, interviewing 3 different individuals. They're all dressed in police uniforms, but they are at different rankings and different skill levels with different experiences, which means different exposure. But let's understand this. That is a radio station. It does not mean that it's actually a radio interview. You remember, everything in dreams is not necessarily what it represents in real life. Now, the radio station only represents media. It represents all types of media platforms. Now, the 3 different ladies in uniforms, that represents professionals. Obviously, if you're dressed in uniform, you are easily identifiable, right? So if you're dressed in a police uniform, we know you work at the police station. If you're dressed in a fireman's, we know you're, nurse, doctor, all of these uniforms that are professional and easily identifiable. So this was just to emphasize that these individuals were known for what they were doing. It was not a hidden thing. It's something that everyone can see, and it's their official work. It's what they do. Now, in the beginning of my career, in the beginning of my walk, as a renowned author, as a motivational speaker, as a counselor, as a prophetess, from the beginning, I worked with people like the first lady I interviewed, who are not necessarily already in the game. I've had so many, YouTube channel interviews and other unofficiated interviews with people like her who are not officially, there yet. They're still in training. Right. Now, as I grew, as I became more known, as the work I do became more recognized out there, I moved from her kind to the entry level kind of interviewers, people who have been doing it, but they are not yet at her level of high experience or high ranking. So they're just there at the entry level. We're talking about entry radio stations, entry interviews, entry reviews, or stuff like that. You understand? Now, as I notice that as I moved from the low ranking to the intermediary phase, that there is no compensation. I was not receiving any money from them. They were not rewarding me for my work. There was no reward for what I do. There was no reward for the exposure I got from them either. Now, notice that my close relative, comes in to interrupt and undermine what I'm doing. Just between the totally inexperienced, the training one and the intermediary one. And guys, this if you've watched me or followed any of my other dreams that I've posted in the past on my YouTube channel, there was a dream where I did explain that I had another dream similar to this, that as I was getting up, as I was starting to do what I've been ordained and called, gifted, purposed, destined to do, that a lot of people closest to me undermined what I was doing. They would ridicule it, literally disrespect it. If I was taking videos, if I was taking pictures, they were totally ignorant of it, and they didn't understand. They were like, but why do you even have to do this? What are you even selling? Like, what, because people undermined and disrespected. They really looked down upon what I was doing. A lot of disrespect, a lot of questioning, a lot of harassing that went on. And once again, if we can talk about the timing of my dream, it's important to understand now, because this puts everything into context, considering the timing. So when I began my career, I was interviewed by people that were not necessarily skilled, and then I came to the intermediary, and I can tell you, because I know now already where I am, like the levels of interviews I'm having, the levels of interactions with the people that I'm having, their classes, their ranking, their experience, in their fields. So I can already tell you that this is past tense. The interviewing of the first lady was past tense. The interviewing of the intermediary was sort of present, but still falls now to past, because I'm passing that already, moving on to the more skilled people. So already the tense of the dream is very clear. So this is past, this is present becoming past. So God is showing me where I'm coming from, and where I'm passing now, and where I'm going. And that gives a clear narrative, or defines emphasis of where I'm going. So that is the tense. It started with the past tense, with the inexperienced, to the intermediary that I was, being interviewed by, but I am passing. Now I'm heading to the skilled, the ones who've got higher rankings, who have a lot of experience. That is future becoming present. Right. Now, it's important to take note of the timing, because it helps you to understand what is the expectation. What is it that's going to happen? Where am I now? What do I need to do? What do I need to think about? What do I need to prepare for? Kind of vibes. Notice that immediately when I get to the skilled, the experienced, there is that silence. The nagging, the harassing, the disrespect, the undermining stopped. Why? Because when you're still starting on your journey, people don't know what you're doing. They don't see value in it. They don't trust it. They undermine it. They disrespect it. They don't pay attention to it. It's just a lot of noise to them. And that is what I was. I was a lot of noise. I'm just this girl talking all the time about God, about motivation, about her book. And I was constantly being undermined, disrespected, and harassed for that because people didn't believe in that. But notice that the moment I start talking to the skilled lady, the one with a lot of experience, the one who's actually gonna pay me for talking to her, the one that's gonna pay me, the recognition that will even come from that, interaction will be rewarding financially for me. I'm going to start reaping. So all the work I've been putting in, working, going through all those interviews that were not bringing me back any monetary value or any monetary value, that were not, the recognition, the followers. There wasn't actually any influx of anything. I wasn't gaining anything. I was just doing it. It was sort of like a training, because when I get to the skilled lady, guys, she takes out a fat chunk of money. That is just to show that now there's recognition. Now there is going to be rewards. They will be reaping for all the hard work that, and just paying, getting back for ignoring, even the harassing and the undermining, the disrespect. It starts to pay off. It all starts to pay off. And all the people who thought I wouldn't make it, no mouth. All the people who undermined, who looked down upon. So as I'm walking out with this bunch of money, what goes through my mind? Maybe I should buy myself a skirt. Guys, for me, that is a luxury. Because as a mom of 3, a single mom of 3, the moment you hold money, the first thing you think of is, oh, my kids, my house, you're always thinking bills, expenses, food, things that are essential. So for me, buying clothes was a luxury. So that just goes to show that I won't have to worry about, the basics, because they'll be taken care of. Why? Because I'll be reaping what I've been sowing. I'll be able to afford the luxuries of life, such as just shopping for an outfit, shopping for shoes, shopping for things that are not necessarily a necessity, but a luxury. So, as I was walking through, what do I see? My brand sold out. Again, confirmation that the recognition, the reaping is there. It's time to finally have what I've been selling sold out. So meaning that I'll be finally reaping from all the hard work, all the labor. My products will be sold out. Everything that I'll be selling in the stores will be sold out, meaning they'll be on demand. And guys, I cannot emphasize enough the peace that I had while I was walking through that mall. I wasn't worried about my kids. I wasn't worried about my house. I wasn't worried about my car. I wasn't worried about anything, because that had all been taken care of. I just had this peace and this ease in my spirit. So, guys, notice how the meaning or the interpretation of the dream is not what dictates the time, but the time is what helps me to understand what the dreams mean. For me, where am I in this dream? What phase of this dream is now for me? And is this a warning? Is this a message? What is it for me? And so, guys, this is real. Like, I literally am explaining my whole life in this dream. I'm walking through it. God is showing me where I started, where I'm passing, and what I'm walking into. Guys, 2023 is a year where God is making all things new, and he gets to show us what is this newness, what is this new thing that he's doing in our lives. How will it impact us? How will it work for us? And what do we expect walking into this new thing? And here I am walking into recognition, walking into reaping, walking into fame, walking into wealth, walking into everything that I've ever hoped and dreamed of. And that is what I saw. Now I hope that this helps you with understanding yours, with understanding what God has in place for us. Dreams are important. They shed light on who we are, where we're going, what is happening, what has happened. And it just gives us hope. It just lets us to know that, hey, there is light at the end of the tunnel, and what you are doing, what you're working on is not in vain. It will pay off.